Hello, everyone, and welcome to session number 2 of my live Facebook on Thursdays called Beat the Blues, Bounce Back from Betrayal. So today is Thursday, March the 9th, and just a shout out to all the amazing women out there who celebrated International Women's Day on Wednesday, March the 8th. Myself, I had an amazing day speaking at a virtual podcast with Brad Walsh and Cecilia Tement as the hosts of Empowerography 2023. It was a wonderful day just listening to the powerful stories that women have overcome these huge challenges in their life and come through on the other side, and teaching other women that there is hope after challenging times, and coming together as a community to support each other, just to be seen, be heard, and to feel loved through many of these challenges was a wonderful opportunity for me. I made a lot of new friends and really had an opportunity to just connect on an emotional level with so many amazing women. So shout out to International Women's Day. So here we are. It is now Thursday, March the 9th. And again, these little sessions live on Facebook on my personal wall is just a way for you to get to know what it is that I am supporting women currently in this time. So my focus is to really support anyone who has suffered or feels like they're moving through an act of betrayal, whether that's in your personal relationship or even in a business relationship. And I'm here to remind you that as you work through the recovery process using some of the 5 steps that I'm going to be talking about in these Facebook sessions, is to remember that that recovery process is an individual journey. It is not the same for everyone. And one of the main things that I'm always going to be talking about is how to use natural holistic remedies for your emotional healing journey, because we all start in that state of anger and really asking ourselves, I know for me, why did this happen, or what did I do to deserve this? So there's a lot of anger that always comes up initially. And what I'm going to continue to share with you is what's actually happening in the current astrological sky, so that it supports you week to week on your emotional healing journey. And I'm also going to talk about other specific remedies that really go a little bit deeper and to help you release some of the core root emotional issues that tend to show up in an act of betrayal. Now, who am I to talk about this if you don't actually know me? My name is Tammeron, and I am a certified health coach. So I've been certified for over 14 years now. I've helped a lot of people come out of feelings of actually feeling suicidal, heavily depressed, having anxiety. Maybe they had some physical symptoms. They were dealing with some really heavy duty issues with their health or their immune system that was triggered even along with some of these emotions that they were experiencing. So I am certified as a Bach flower essence practitioner, and I want to make sure I say that correctly. I have many testimonials, and also I've been able to use a lot of my education and expertise into altering the Bach flower essences with high grade essential oils. And again, it's the understanding of what a person is feeling and exactly what remedy is going to help to balance what they're feeling on an emotional level, so that you can get up every day and still deal with the challenges that you still have in your everyday life. I mean, a lot of women who are going through challenges in their life might be looking for after someone who's elderly. They might have young children in the house and just still dealing with the person that was involved in their life as they work through their life, all of a sudden being shattered or in a new reality and saying, how do I manage and what do I do next? And so that's one of the reasons why I love to talk about this. And also in my own personal life, I have had situations where I felt betrayed and I felt like I was stabbed in the back. And what was difficult for me was that it was my own experience. And I understand that maybe other people aren't going to see the situation the same way as you. And that is okay. I'm here to remind you that it is your journey. And it takes time to really bounce back from this process. And for some people, even for me, it might take years, but there is hope and there is the light at the end of the tunnel. And one of the other things that I always recommend that anyone does, if you are moving through a challenging time and you feel a little bit alone, like maybe you feel misunderstood around the people that are closest to you, whether that's family or friends or where you work or maybe your neighborhood, your community, is now with the age of Aquarius, and we have all of this online technology. And even for me to go live here on my Facebook wall is to know that there is a community out there for you that is going to completely understand what it is that you are going through. And that is why I'm here on my Facebook wall, is to remind you that my Women's Inner Lights Academy Facebook group is the perfect free online community for you. So I'll be inside of my community Monday through Saturday, and I continue to talk and go a little bit deeper into teaching you what is happening in the astrological sky and how it might be affecting you on a personal and an emotional level, and explain why you feel a certain way. And it's, maybe it is what's happening up there in the sky, because as above, so below. And I always talk about exactly which holistic remedies that I am also using to stay emotionally balanced, and what herbs that I'm putting in my teacup, and the reason why I chose those specific herbs for the emotional healing. And sometimes I'm talking about which high grade essential oils you could also use for faster results, and also Bach flower essences. And I teach you where you can purchase the Bach flower essences, whether that's in your stores, online, and most importantly, how to use them. Because there are a lot of people that work in the stores, or you buy something online and you get this amazing product that has safe and effective properties, but you're not educated on how to use it. And so you're going to get all of that education again inside of my online academy. And there are also additional 3 ways that you can work with me, whether that's just to follow the pre-recorded masterclasses to guide you through the 5 steps and to teach you how to use all these remedies effectively. And also you can partake in small group study groups that are offered twice a month. And of course, there's always an opportunity for you to work with me one-on-one private tutoring. And again, that's very limited and more of a high ticket, but you have options available for you. And these options has a varying price point. And I've created it so that even if you don't have a lot of money, that you can afford to get the education and the support that you need. And it can begin by even just being a member of my free community. And then we can have a conversation on how I can support you a little bit deeper. So if you're watching this, or you know someone who has suffered from an act of betrayal and they really want to be able to move forward in their life and find that inner confidence again, be a little bit happier, and as I promised, you might actually be a little bit more enlightened, meaning there was a higher purpose or a spiritual lesson that was involved. And this is why I encourage people to begin learning about astrology, because my belief is that we are all spiritual beings here on earth having a human experience. And what I've noticed in my own life and in my clients was there was a pattern that just kept showing up. And because they weren't taking the time to slow down and to pay attention, it was because it kept repeating itself. So this is where, as a certified astrologer, I can look at your astrological birth chart, even if you don't know the exact time you were born. We just need to know the date and where you were born. And I can take a peek into your astrological birth chart, and I can share with you what spiritual lesson you are actually here to learn. And maybe that's why some of these situations kept showing up in your life, is because you're here to learn that lesson. So it is very enlightening, and you feel very validated, and your life will begin to make sense. So that's always the first step, is the why. Is that big understanding is, wow, okay, now I understand why. But the next step is, how do you recover? And this is why I encourage you to start using some of the emotional remedies. And I'm going to talk about two very specific ones today. And here's why. Every Thursday, my videos go live on social media. So they go live on my YouTube channel called Academy TV. You see the videos reposted here on my personal page inside of my Inner Lights Academy free Facebook group. Plus, they go live across all virtual social media platforms where I am, whether that's LinkedIn, or you can follow my blog on Medium. And what I do is I share with you the exact indication of what I feel is the biggest emotional trigger for this week. So from Thursdays to Wednesdays. So today's Thursday the 9th. So the videos that I'm talking about begin today on Thursdays, and they get posted. Again, this is another reason why I'm going to have these live Facebook sessions on different times on Thursdays, so that this information stays on my wall and you can share it, and you can always come back to it as well if you're not following me on my other social media platforms. So what's happening in the astrological sky, what it might be triggering for everyone if you're paying attention on a personal and an emotional level, what herb that I'm recommending or food that week to help you balance what you're feeling emotionally. And it's what's in my teacup. It is usually the main ingredient in my teacup, because remember, organic foods, herbs, spices have an emotional healing property because they haven't been altered. Now, this is ancient knowledge that has been around for centuries, whether you go back to the native Indians, the tribes, like Europe, like this is common knowledge. And it needs to come back into the forefront to remind ourselves that a lot of things that we are seeking are right here on planet Earth. And sometimes they might actually be right inside your own actual kitchen. And so you can use some of these ingredients to feel better on an emotional level. Now, there's another little part of that, is you're not going to be able to feel what's going on in your emotional heart if you are using a lot of addictive substances. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I'm just saying that a lot of these options are actually out there. So if you are feeling a little bit off, this is why I encourage people to make tea, is to increase your water intake so that you can actually have an honest, quiet conversation with yourself and just ask yourself, what am I feeling? And is what I'm suggesting that you might be feeling actually happening as you listen to my videos and my content, and say, you know what? Yeah, I can relate to that. I can relate to that emotional story that I am suggesting that might be happening based on what's in the astrological sky. So if you're watching this and this makes sense, post a comment below, okay? So I make a recommendation. The third thing I do every single week is, oh, it's getting a little bit warm in here. The sun's coming around, so you'll have to forgive me. My face is getting a little bit red. However, the third thing that I always recommend every single week is to take action in something. Now, whether that's just trusting your intuition, writing something down, depending on what's happening in the astrological sky, there's always something I suggest as a spiritual alchemist. And the reason why I say that is because nothing will ever change in your life unless you do something about it. So this is why I want you to focus on what you're feeling and to help yourself feel better so you can move through these challenging times. And then you have the emotional courage and the strength to take a small step to move forward. Because remember, the healing journey, it is a journey, and it's going to be individualized for yourself. So there might be times where you really have a lot of energy and you're feeling good, and then all of a sudden you might get sideswiped in your life because something happens or something happens somewhere else, and you feel like you're going backwards or sideways. This is normal. Okay. The healing journey is not a straight line. And so when you have these tools in your toolbox, you're going to be able to function better and to still partake in the other things that are also happening in your everyday life. All right. So if you're interested, you want to learn, again, post comment below saying, yes, I want to learn. So what I'm going to do with you is just talk a little bit today, some more information about the recovery process after I share this information here. And that is what I have recommended this week for what is happening in the astrological sky. Because this past week, early in the week, Monday and Tuesday, we had a full moon. And that full moon is when the sun and the moon are in exact opposite positions in the sky. So what does that mean? It means you might be a little bit emotional, you might be crying or super sensitive, and you might get triggered, okay? Because when the sun reflects on the moon is aggravated. So we feel more emotional. And so what I always recommend every single month on the full moon is to use one specific herb for sure. And that is organic lemongrass. So that is what is in my teacup. It is a combination of an organic rooibos tea with shredded organic lemongrass. And so I've added just a little bit of raw honey to enhance the flavor and to give my immune system a great big boost, because the emotional healing properties of lemongrass is to release that spiritual darkness, though that feeling of despondency, like you cannot move on. And it is time, we're coming into the spring equinox. So it's like a big cleansing shift that's happening this month also. And so, you know, we're moving out of winter, we're moving towards spring, and there's a lot of things happening. And so if you're feeling a little bit out of whack, what I suggest you is to drink the lemongrass, or you can use lemongrass in your diet. And the healing benefits that you might shift to is all of a sudden you just might wake up and go, now I see it. Now I see what I couldn't see last week or previous, because you have the mental clarity that is coming through. Because lemongrass offers that feeling of having the clarity so that you are no longer despondent. So things just become more clear. All right. And that is what you want. So using lemongrass every single full moon, you're going to get recipes if you're inside of my Inner Lights Academy. And also, if you don't have organic lemongrass, or you don't buy the fresh lemongrass to put in your diet, you can also use high-grade essential oils of lemongrass. And I always encourage you to have a nice hot bath, either the day before or the day over the day after full moon. So add some Epsom salt, some baking soda in there as well. Put just a couple of drops of a high grade because it's very strong, and you're going to feel lifted and amazing, especially if you use this before bed and you wake up the next day. So there's a sense of lightness that occurs as well. So comment below if you do use essential oils, and do you know how to use them effectively? Because this is what I encourage everyone to start learning, because you don't learn this stuff in school. You have to go somewhere different to learn it. And this is one of the things I'm very passionate about, is education about these holistic remedies, especially for our emotional or our mental wellness, okay? Because there are lots of options out there. And again, my preference is to use a company called doTERRA, because they are the Cadillac of essential oils, and they don't cost a lot because I don't need to use that much. So I personally would rather purchase it and have enough and know exactly when to use them, so that I'm not wasting my money. I'm actually saving my money. And if you want to learn, you're going to save time and money when you join my academy and start learning how to use this properly. Okay. So enough, I'm going to talk about that. That's what I recommend. And also this week, just on a side note, is if you want to go deeper into the healing, there is a lot of healing energy that is being activated in the astrological sky, and it has to do with other planets and asteroids. And so in my books that I study from is I make notes so that when I'm working with clients, I know exactly what to recommend, because I have printouts and I have cheat sheets all ready to go. So I can offer templates to my clients as well. And they're already filled out, and I tell you when to use this and how often and so on and so forth. However, and I don't know if I can pronounce it right, the other high grade essential oil I would definitely recommend is called petitgrain. It could be petitgrain, petitgrain. There could be an accent in there as well. And the reason why is because it's helping us to clear these ancestral mother wounds. And this is why a lot of women are stepping into our power, especially now with it being the age of Aquarius, is because we're understanding the wounding that occurred in the patriarchal society that we have all come from in our past with our ancestors. And we're moving into this age of Aquarius, and we think very differently about our life. And women are acting and behaving differently. And so our ancestors and family members may not understand you. And so you might feel there's this big disconnect. So in order to heal some of those emotional wounds, what I highly recommend is petitgrain. And again, I would encourage you to use a high grade. So comment below, you can send me a DM, private message, and I'll teach you how to use some of these essential oils specifically. Okay, so we're just going to follow up. Again, last week, I talked a lot about teaching women how to break through these patterns of betrayal while reducing your anger and the frustration. So you can finally stop asking yourself, why does this situation keep happening to me? So I've made some notes. So again, I don't want to get too far off course because these videos are not going to be long every week. But the other thing that I want to talk about is you need to develop that resilience I just talked about earlier, so that you can get up every day and stay focused on your healing journey and still do what you need to do every single day. So that is going to help you maintain that positive outlook and knowing that there's hope at the end of the tunnel when you start implementing some of these tools that I keep talking about, or secret hacks, okay, is because you will become stronger. And I talked last week about you will gain this confidence because you've actually gone through it. And I also talked about, there's a difference between the mental confidence, like learning something or studying something and you know it inside and out. But when you actually go through something and you experience it and you say to yourself afterwards, that took a lot of guts for me to either say that, do that, respond like that, or not respond at all, to have stronger boundaries, to give yourself some of these new rituals so that you can learn to love yourself again. Like, you won't know that you were able to do it because you hadn't done it before. And this is where you realize how strong you are and how your power comes back because you had to do it, right? It was right in front of you. So this is how you're going to gain the resilience by, I'm encouraging to use some of these tools. All right. And the other last thing I want to talk about is to be involved in that supportive network of other women who know exactly what you're going through. And we may all be on different levels of the recovery and the healing journey, and that's okay. When you are surrounded by other people that get you, you're going to feel loved, you're going to feel seen, and you're going to feel heard. And that is exactly a reflection of how I felt yesterday during the International Women's Day. And I was listening to so many women's stories. And it's not about knowing it all. Sometimes it's just a wonderful feeling knowing you have somewhere to go where you're not going to feel alone anymore. And you're going to feel validated, and you're going to feel like, you know what? Other people have gone through this. I'm going through it. They got through it. I can get through it. And it's all okay, because I want to remind you It wasn't your fault. And so one of the big things that you have to learn is to release the feeling of the guilt and the shame right off the bat. And so when you're surrounded by other people, that guilt and that shame almost dissipates when you're surrounded by other people and you feel like you're on the right soul cloud. So I'm just going to close and encourage you to share this information. If you see this, if you know any women that are really dealing with issues of betrayal, either in their personal life or in the business, is to encourage them to join my women's Facebook community, which is called Inner Lights Academy. And I can post the link below, or you can Google it for us. And I'm encouraging you to join us and to spend time inside of my community because it's very laid back. And Monday through Saturday, I'm inside of the community with little videos, contents, sometimes some shorts. I could short videos. I could be literally coming out of the bath sometimes and sharing when I'm using some essential oils. You see me inside of my kitchen here in Northern Ontario. You see the recipes that I'm making, and I share a healthy recipe with everyone every Friday. Women love the recipes. They're usually simple, easy to use. And I will be also sharing my upcoming master classes where you can purchase them pre-recorded at a very low price and start learning how to obtain information from your astrological birth charts. You don't have to be an astrologer to figure this out, because this is the age of Aquarius. This is where a lot of people, I intuitively feel, are going to start understanding the science behind astrology, because astrology is a picture of what was happening in the sky the minute you took your first breath. And what that is, it's the story of your soul's journey in this lifetime. And it's completely different for every single person, because no two people are born in the exact same place at the exact same time. And that's why everybody's journey is unique. You can have similarities, but I guarantee your journey is going to be unique. And so when you're going through these challenging times, I'm going to teach you some of the holistic remedies and the modalities by using even more information about numerology, your spiritual lessons, herbology, moonology, understanding what's happening with the moon and what's going on in your subconscious and your feelings, and also that component of spirituality, meaning you're on this planet for a reason and your soul agreed to be here. So we're going to move through these challenging times absolutely together. So thank you for listening and joining me here for my live Facebook session, Beat the Blues. I will be live every Thursdays between 2 and 7 p.m. So there'll be varying times each week, but I'm going to be here to share more information with you on how you can bounce back from betrayal and find that inner happiness, that confidence, and have a sense of enlightenment during your recovery process. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you here again for another episode. Cheers for now, everyone. Bye-bye.